Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to TEDxPCCOE. I've been waiting for this day since 1.5 years, and I'm very excited to be here. We all have witnessed the amazing power of ideas and how they have shaped every single thing around us. Every single idea has changed something, while some ideas have changed everything. To tell you about it, Isaac was this curious lad who always knew that there was some connection between two bodies which always existed. It's just that he struggled to figure out what this connection was all about. After a lot of struggle, he somehow came to believe that it was this connection which somehow prevented the planets from moving away from the sun. And then, after another span of long time, he saw the connection happen right in front of his eyes when a piece of fruit fell to the ground. Isaac named this connection as gravity, and the Queen named him Sir Isaac Newton. Similarly, on the other hand, John was a very keen observer of things. On one hand, he saw the coin maker stamp the portrait of the king on the coin. Later, he sees the winemaker squeeze the juice out of the grapes at a wine press. So this is when he thinks, why don't we replace the juice with the ink, the portrait of the king with an alphabet, and put them both on a piece of paper? Ladies and gentlemen, that was how the printing press was born. Now, printing press was one invention which brought along an entire scientific revolution along with itself, and it changed everything. If you see, ideas are all about these some strange connections which somehow happen at the right time. And today is a day you will see 7 such strange connections go live on the stage. To talk about it, I'm going to tell you a story about one of the most amazing ideas which changed the world from top to bottom. It was none other than the iPhone, which was introduced by Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs that day said that he is going to redefine the very identity of the phone. From that day onwards, a phone was never looked the same way again. Now, we are inspired by Apple, we are inspired by Steve Jobs. So today, I'm going to make a statement over here. Every single person sitting in this room is going to remember us for a long time. Because this is a day TEDxPCCOE will redefine reality to 100 changemakers sitting over here. Now, there are certain things which have to be said and there are certain rules which have to be defined as we begin with the conference. About the certain things which have to be said, like I said, I've been waiting for this day since 1.5 years. So 1.5 years back, I went to my principal to present this presentation about TEDx before we get all started. So he expects things to be perfect, which is why we consider perfection is a feeling as our motive. So we went to him with all sorts of presentation of the materials. If he finds some correction, he sends us back. We get back to the drawing board, improvise on the efficiencies, and go back again. This time, it happened at one go, and he was super delighted with the idea. And we got even more excited. We made a very bold statement out of sheer enthusiasm and excitement. We told him that, sir, we promise you that we will set TEDxPCCOE as a benchmark for other TEDx events to follow. And we will take TEDxPCCOE to a global arena. But today is 25th February 2018. The conference hasn't even begun yet. And we have achieved something extraordinary. This extraordinary achievement is none other than we have 12 different countries following TEDxPCCOE at its Instagram account. And these countries are, of course, India, US, UK, Pakistan, Switzerland, Ghana, Portugal, Mexico, Hungary, Venezuela, and Australia. Now, I don't know if you see this pattern, but this pretty much covers up every single continent in the world. So it gives me immense pride to give this message to our principal and every single PCCOE sitting over here, that it is a matter of pride that yes, TEDxPCCOE has set a benchmark for other TEDx events to follow. Now, these are the things that have to be said. Now, about the rules that have to be defined. I, as the master of ceremony, am going to ensure that every single second you spend in this auditorium is as delightful as possible. But it is your job as the attendee to follow just 3 rules. The first is your phones in silent mode so that we don't have any interruptions in between. The second is, this is to specifically my all Snapchat enthusiastic friends. You don't click photos or videos in this auditorium. The only ones who do that are the videographers and the official photographers. Now, I, as the master of the ceremony, I have control over the event, so I'm going to ensure that during the break time, the lightings are as grand as they are right now, so that you can click photos and tell the world that yes, we are at a grand event. Other than that, I want you to keep your phones and cameras away. The third and the most important rule is that nobody moves in or out during the sessions. The event is categorized into 4 segments. That is, we have 3 breaks in between, which breaks the event into 4 segments. We are trying to do 2 things over here. There are 2 dimensions to this conference. One is you, 100 change makers who got selected out of the Google Forms, and you are here. The other is we are trying to shoot this entire event, and this will be available for the global audience in some time. So to ensure that the global audience gets this extraordinary quality that you guys are experiencing in realistically, we need to ensure that the digital version of the recording is exceptional. And for that, these technologies are needed. Now, these technologies are super sensitive. One attendee's tap at the last row can actually be recorded in this very mic that I'm speaking. So I would request you to not move during the sessions and do not go in and out. During the break, everybody is out. After the break, the ones who are in, the ones who are out. Is that clear? Is that clear? Everybody cool? Yes. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, as we begin with the first segment of our event, we talk about the behind the scenes of the mind. To tell you about it, there was this scientist called Reid Montag, a neuroscientist, who conducted this very simple experiment. He placed 2 bottles, one of Pepsi, the other of Coke. And then he took off the labels, filled it with colas, asked the subjects to come and taste it. While they tasted it, he scanned their brains. So, when these subjects came in for the first time, they were not even able to tell the difference between both the colas. And obviously, the scanning of the brain showed no significant difference. So he said, okay, maybe the colas are same, let's put the labels back on. So when he calls them up for the second time, he puts Coke and Pepsi's logo and asks them to taste it while he continues doing the same process. This time, when these people taste Pepsi, nothing happens. But the moment they taste Coca-Cola, their brains seem to be more receptive towards that cola. So this is when he thinks there is something to this recipe maybe which is causing this insignificant difference. So he calls them up for the third time. This time he splits the labels, which means the cola which is labeled as Pepsi is actually Coca-Cola, and the cola that is labeled as Coca-Cola is actually Pepsi. This time when the subjects come in, still when they drink the cola in the Coca-Cola labeled bottle, their brains seem to be more receptive. This is how he came to a conclusion that it was not the recipe, it was not the subject, it was not the experiment which actually mattered, it was that logo, that red color logo of Coca-Cola which actually counted. Now to put that straight, in front of the scenes is the 3 seconds logo that the subject saw which actually made the difference. But behind the scenes, it is $3.3 billion that Coca-Cola invests every single year to build this brand image as it stands as the icon of happiness. To elaborate on this happiness theory, we have our first speaker, Mr. Ravi Deshpande, who talks about the happy world of brands. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ravi Deshpande.
When people buy products, they feel happy. They feel a sense of gratification, elevation, excitement. They go ahead, start sharing the news that, hey, I've got so-and-so product, or I've consumed this product, or I'm using this product, or in some cases even showing off with that product. There is a sort of happiness involved in the process of buying products, owning them, and almost even identifying yourself with these products. I mean, there was a time in the world when, they were just products and there were no brands. You know, it was just a question of you buying something functional, using it, and then getting on with life. But over a period of time, the process of selling things, selling products has evolved, and then brands have come in. And somewhere, some clever person, some clever minds have engineered a way of persuasion, way of selling products to people in such a way they absolutely are unaware of the fact that there is a very smart, strategic mind at work when I'm actually being made to buy these products. Yeah? And one of the biggest tools brands have actually used in the process of selling products is actually charm people. In the process of selling products or selling brands, brands have to actually create a world that people can relate with, a world which has emotions and values that consumers hold dear, a world within which people can derive happiness. It is, at the end of the day, no matter whether you buy a small thing or a big thing, there is some amount of thought process involved in the process of purchase. And there is a fair bit of investment also sometimes involved in the process of purchase. And that better turn into a value, but above all, a sort of sense of happiness. And that's really going to be the conversation today as to how brands really charm you into buying those products, and you know, before you know, you have emptied your wallet somewhat